Hi, this is Nathan Oxenfeld with Integral Eyesight Improvement. I'm here today in my kitchen because I'd like to briefly overview the role that diet, nutrition, and supplementation can play when it comes to your eye health. Because in addition to taking better care of your eyes from the outside, by repeating helpful practices from the Bates method like swinging, sunning, and palming, and avoiding bad vision habits like squinting, staring, straining, etc. It's also very important to make sure that you're taking good care of your eyes from the inside, based off of the foods and the drinks that you put into your body. And as Dr. Mark Grossman writes in his book, Greater Vision, over 25% of the nutrients that you absorb from the food that you eat go directly to nourishing your visual system. Not just your eyeballs, but all the nerves, blood vessels, and tissues that support vision. And it's also important to think about all the different components of your eye organs, because there are specific vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are best for your lenses, your retinas, your optic nerves, the vitreous humor, the fluid inside your eyes, and your brain. So if you have cataracts, you're going to want to customize your diet regimen to support your lens health. If you've got floaters or you've had a retinal detachment, you're going to want to specify your diet regimen to support your vitreous humor, the fluid inside your eyes. If you have dry or wet macular degeneration, you're going to want to customize your diet regimen to support your retina health and your optic nerves. So this topic can actually quickly become pretty complex and specific to your specific vision. But in today's video, I just want to give you more of a general overview of basic foods to eat for your eyes, foods to avoid for your eyes, going through a couple supplements you might want to incorporate into your routine. And when it comes to customizing this to your own vision, it may be best to consult with someone who specializes in this field. Because although I am a certified Bates method teacher, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist, so this isn't really my absolute specialty, but what I want to share with you today is my own personal routine. Now, if you want to get a free copy of this Diet, Nutrition, and Supplementation for Your Eyes guide that I've created to accompany this video and you can use as a reference, it's got a list of all the foods to eat, the foods to avoid or limit, list of important vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, and a list of supplements that are very specific to your eyes. You can head over to my website, integraleyesight.com/eyediet, EYEDIET, and I'll add a link below the video as well, that you can get your copy of this on your device, or you can print it out, hang it up on your fridge as a reminder when you're going in there to get a snack or you're getting ready to cook a meal. So before we talk about foods and solids to eat or to avoid, a really good starting point is actually with a liquid, which is water. Your eyes are at the very top of the list in terms of body constitution, what parts of your body are made up of water. And the fluid inside your eye is 99% water. So your eyes need a lot of hydration. So does your brain. And not all water is equal. Most tap water that you're going to find in most cities in the United States are fluoridated. There's fluoride in the water, in addition to many other chemicals, chlorine, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals, other kinds of toxins and things that you might not necessarily want to be chugging all day. So for several years, I've been trying my best to filter my water, either with a home filter or by filling up a jug of water at a store with reverse osmosis water. And even better than just water by itself is actually squeezing a lemon into your water to make some lemon water. And that's actually something that Dr. Bates recommended to all of his patients when he was alive, was to squeeze a full lemon in your cup of water first thing in the morning and drink that every day. So you're actually infusing your water with vitamin C and these bionutrients that are going to support your eyes as well. So I'm actually going to take a sip of water here to hydrate a little bit. And I'd invite you to do the same. So before I go through the first list of good foods for your eyes, I want to briefly just cover bad foods for your eyes, or things that you are going to want to limit or avoid altogether. And it was actually Easter just yesterday, so I've got, as an example, a little chocolate Easter bunny. So if I look on the back on the ingredients list, the first ingredient is milk chocolate, and then it tells what is in the milk chocolate. And then it says decorations, and it says what's in the decorations, so the colored parts on the chocolate. And then a long list of US certified colors. So in this little chocolate bunny, it's got F, D, and C, blue number 1, blue number 2, red number 40, yellow number 6, and yellow number 5 lakes, and red number 3. And those are things that I've been personally avoiding for many years now. And that's one of the things on the foods to avoid and limit list is artificial colors. And I've got a whole list of all the US colors, and then Europe has a whole different set of colors, so you know what to look for when you're reading the ingredients. If your food is in a wrapper or in a package, then it's a little farther removed from its natural source. So that's also on the foods to avoid and limit list, is processed or packaged foods. Because usually they contain lots of refined sugars and refined flours, white sugar, white flour, lots of hard to pronounce ingredients. And these are generally things that you find in the centers of your grocery stores. Things like candy, junk food, packaged food, processed food. So it just takes a couple extra seconds before you pick it up off the shelf, toss it in your cart, to just look at the nutrition facts, just read the ingredients, and just start paying more attention to what you're eating. So think about what you eat in a day. Is most of what you eat contained within a wrapper or a package that you have to open up? Or is it just a whole food like these other examples here that we're going to talk about here in a minute? And if your diet leans more to the packaged processed side, then you may want to start to shift over and try and get some more of the whole food-based nutrition. So similar to the processed foods would be fast food. I also used to eat a lot of fast food in middle school and high school and even the beginning of college, just because it was convenient and it's everywhere. You can just go through the drive-through and it's pretty affordable. But it was really interesting to see how much better I felt once I cut all of that out of my diet. And I haven't eaten fast food in many years. And one of the big things that you get at most fast food restaurants is soda. So that's another thing on the foods and drinks to avoid list. These sodas and very sugary beverages. Because once again, if you look at the ingredients list on the soda, it's usually going to either contain high fructose corn syrup, or if it's sugar-free, it's got aspartame or some other artificial sweetener, as well as phosphoric acid and fluoride contained in the water that it's made out of. So that's actually at the very top of the list of the foods to avoid and limit is sugar. And this includes pretty much all kinds of artificial sugars or refined sugars. So this list includes white sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, powdered sugar, and even some of the more natural sugars like turbinado, demerara, all these kinds of fructose and sugars your eyes really do not like. And these elevated sugar levels have been connected to the development of issues like cataracts, like macular degeneration, and very specifically diabetic retinopathy. Now this doesn't apply quite as much to more naturally occurring sugars like sugars in fruits. Okay, so this is more specific to the sugars that you're going to find in the sodas, in the candy, and foods that a bunch of sugar is added to it. So that I would say is number one, and it can be kind of hard to limit or avoid, especially if you are craving the sugar or you have a sweet tooth or you feel kind of addicted to it. But like I said, I used to eat a ton of candy, I used to drink a ton of Coca-Cola, and over time I just started replacing it with more water, more real actual whole foods, And over time, my sweet tooth really went away. And I don't really crave these sugary snacks and cakes and ice creams and things like that. So just keep in mind that your taste buds do change and your body is constantly growing and changing. Now, another thing that's also been connected to things like cataracts, glaucoma, macular degeneration is excessive amounts of meat and dairy. So the dairy would include things like milk and yogurt and ice cream and cheese. And the specific meat products you want to try and avoid or limit would be more of the red meats. So ground beef, steak, pork. And if you can investigate a little bit about the source of the animal that the meat is coming from, that can give you a lot of clues as well. So in general, you want to avoid the factory farmed animals that just don't have the best lives, versus if you know where your meat is coming from, that's kind of a different story. And then also on the list of things to avoid and limit include alcohol and caffeine. So beer, wine, liquor, coffee, tea, just keeping an eye on not going overboard with these things. And that idea brings me to a rule that I kind of live my life by, which is moderation. So I'm not too extreme in terms of cutting all of these things out totally. Even if I do have a little bit of animal protein or dairy or sugar, I just try and do it in moderation. So I'm not going overboard with it. Okay? And keep in mind that everybody is different and everybody responds to different foods differently. And it's important for you to tune into your own body and see what works best for you. Because there's no one specific diet or food protocol that works for everyone. Okay, so it's good for you to experiment a little bit and see what is best for you. Now, the last thing on this list is GMOs, or genetically modified organisms. And so the way that I avoid GMOs is by trying to buy organic produce. So pretty much all of this food up here is organically grown. And that pretty much guarantees that it's not genetically modified. Not to mention, it usually is also grown in a safer way in terms of less exposure to pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and these different chemical fertilizers and things that I personally don't want to be consuming. And just so you know, when you're out there shopping, the 7 most common genetically modified organisms that you'll find in the US are corn, soy, canola, squash, zucchini, alfalfa sprouts, sugar beets, and milk. So even if you just get those 7 things, making sure they're organic, then you're decreasing your chances of being exposed to the GMOs. And although organic produce and organic products tend to be a little more expensive than conventional products, I view paying more now as saving money on medical costs in the future. So I'm investing in my own body, in my own mind, in my own health, so that I don't need to get an expensive surgery down the road because of these toxins and sugars and artificial ingredients that can really throw off your body's homeostasis and health. Not to mention, it usually tastes better and contains a much higher concentration of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So speaking of which, I want to go through a list of some of the most important vitamins, minerals, and nutrients for your eyes. So the first on the list are bioflavonoids. These are usually from citrus foods, citrus bioflavonoids. So they're going to be contained in different kinds of berries and oranges, lemons, limes, grapes. So eating fresh berries or using a supplement that has citrus bioflavonoids on the label is a good way to get that covered. The next are carotenoids. These are pigments in foods that turn foods usually orange or yellow. So things like sweet potatoes, carrots, and squash, things like this, and orange peppers, yellow peppers, red bell peppers. these also can serve as antioxidants. So some of the main carotenoids and antioxidants for your eyes include astaxanthin, beta-carotene, lutein, zeaxanthin, and lycopene. So those actually are very common that people usually know about, that beta-carotene is good for your eyes. So beta-carotene is the precursor for vitamin A in the body. So you eat the beta-carotene, your body turns it into vitamin A, which is important for your eye health. And people usually associate carrots with beta-carotene, but lots of other vegetables contain beta-carotene. And what I found interesting was that sweet potatoes and kale actually have more beta-carotene than carrots do. So carrots are usually the most famous eye vegetable. People say just eat carrots or drink carrot juice to make your eyes healthy. But things like kale and sweet potatoes actually have more beta-carotene in them. And honestly, I would say that dark leafy greens like kale, Swiss chard, this is some nice rainbow chard, parsley, cilantro, collards, spinach, romaine lettuce, arugula, all of these dark leafy green vegetables are probably the best food you can eat for your eyes, even better than carrots. So carrots are still great, and I still love eating carrots raw, cooked, or juiced. But what I want you to do is to put dark leafy greens at the top of the list, even higher than carrots, as a priority for you to eat every day. Now, a lot of people are also familiar with the two on that list, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are usually the most commonly found in eye vitamins or supplements, so you usually want to look for those on the bottle when you're looking for vitamins that are good for your eyes. But a general theme here is that it's much, much better to get these vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from the foods that you eat versus from supplements in a pill. Dr. Neil Adams, in his book Healthy Vision, really makes that clear that your body can absorb and utilize these nutrients from the foods much better than just taking supplements. And Dr. Grossman mentions that in his book as well, that the body doesn't just use these compounds isolated on their own. They need to be bundled together. They need to be balanced with other vitamins and minerals and nutrients, kind of like the entourage effect, versus just taking vitamin C, or just taking vitamin D, or just taking zinc. Because nature has already balanced the nutrients in the foods. So you don't run any risk of misdosing or overdosing in specific vitamins or minerals or nutrients. For example, vitamin A, which is very important for your eye health, if you have too much of it, it can be very damaging and destructive. Okay, so I'm not getting into any specific dosages or milligrams or micrograms of how much you need. And actually, that's a great thing about that book, Healthy Vision, is at the back, it gets into all those specifics. It's a whole list of all the recommended amounts that you should be eating and which foods contain them and the amount that is contained in each food. So that's definitely a great book if you're really curious about learning more about this and getting a specific routine or regimen down. Okay, so try and get your beta-carotene, your lutein, your zeaxanthin from your dark leafy greens, from your tomatoes. This is a really beautiful heirloom tomato, from your sweet potatoes, so from these vegetables and fruits. Now next on this list are some super antioxidants that are very effective at getting rid of free radicals, which can lead to oxidative stress that can really affect the eye health. And this makes me want to point out an exception to one of the rules I shared earlier about things to limit or avoid. One of the caffeine items was tea, and one exception to that is green tea. I've got some organic green tea here, because green tea is known to have powerful antioxidant powers in it. So I love drinking green tea, much better alternative than things like coffee or even black tea. Next, there are some plant nutrients, things like curcumin, ginkgo, phytic acid, St. John's wort. Curcumin is something that you can get by using turmeric as seasoning. So I like to put this on a lot of my food. Turmeric and curcumin are really good anti-inflammatory compounds, and a lot of vision problems can be traced back to some sort of inflammation. So if you help the anti-inflammation, eat some anti-inflammatory foods and seasonings, that can really help as well. And there's also a list of specific metals or trace minerals you want to make sure are contained in your diet. These things include boron, calcium, chromium, copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, potassium, selenium, and zinc. So sometimes vision problems and many other health-related problems can be connected into mineral deficiencies or a lack of iron or zinc or calcium. Okay, and there's different ways to test for these things. Sometimes it requires blood work or working with a dietitian or nutritionist to help you figure out if you do have any deficiencies. But bananas are a really great source of potassium. And keep in mind that some of these metals are most highly concentrated in certain types of meats and animal proteins. So this, depends on your personal diet, if you're vegetarian or if you're vegan, or if you eat animals. But me personally, I try not to eat mammals. I try and eat mainly chicken or fish in moderation, so that I am getting all of these minerals and metals without having to worry about becoming deficient or having to take too many supplements. So if you are vegetarian or vegan, sometimes you have to be a little more creative in terms of making sure you're getting what you need. Now the next on the list are the lettered vitamins. So this includes vitamin A, vitamin B complex. So that includes B1, B2, B3, B6, B9, and B12, as well as vitamin C, D, specifically D3, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So once again, it's best to get all of these from your fruits and your vegetables. But every once in a while, I will take a multivitamin. So this is an example of a multivitamin. It's just a men's one multivitamin, food-based multivitamin. So this has vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, all the Bs, and then it's got some of those metals I just mentioned: calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium, copper, manganese, chromium, and it's got a citrus bioflavonoid compound, like I said at the beginning. I'm seeing it also has lycopene from tomato, which is great, but what's even better is just eating a tomato. And then it's got a vegetable juice complex. So it's got, I guess, the powdered version of, vegetable powder from kale, spinach, dandelion greens, and beets. So that's another good way to get lots of the greens. Even if you're not eating a big salad, you can try and get either a green powder that you can make a green smoothie out of. So there's other ways to do this, or you can make a smoothie or a juice so that you can actually get a much higher concentration of these greens in a glass that you can just drink. And when I used to work at a juice bar in Asheville, I was amazed at how much kale you would put in and how little juice came out. So in one 12-ounce juice, you could be consuming this whole bunch of kale. Now I want to speak about vitamin D briefly, because that one is known as the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D3. So it's not actually something that we get very much in food. It comes more from when we're outside exposed to the sun. And that's where the Bates Method sunning practice comes in, to make sure that you're getting your daily dose of the sunshine vitamin. Now, if you're not sunning, or if you live in a place where it's darker, then you may want to supplement with vitamin D3. So I like to take vitamin D3 if I'm not getting my sunning practice in that much for the week, or if it's overcast a lot, or I tend to take it more in the winter time when I'm not outside as much, it's colder. And that's one that a lot of people actually are deficient in. So you want to either be doing your sunning practice in moderation or supplementing with vitamin D3 in moderation to make sure those levels are high enough for you. Now Now, the next on the list are amino acids, and a couple that are specific to your eyes and vision are arginine, carnitine, lysine, methionine, proline, and taurine. And amino acids are also found in most foods and most meats, but one thing that I love to add to a lot of my food is Bragg's liquid aminos. Kind of tastes like soy sauce, but it's vegetable based. It's a soy protein, and it contains 16 amino acids. So all those on the list, on that list there, plus 10 additional. So you just, put this on your salad or on your rice or on your meal. And this is a really good way to cover those bases with the amino acids. And you can find that at most Whole Foods or health food stores or co-ops. Bragg's liquid aminos. Then the last two on the list are some power nutrients. There's a list of things that you can supplement with, and essential fatty acids. So these usually refer to omega-3 fatty acids and things like DHA and EPA. And one of the most common things you find these in are fish. So for example, in salmon or tuna, trout, catfish, flounder, anchovies, sardines. And for many years, fish oil supplements were touted as being very good for your eyes and your eye health to get as a source of these omega-3s, DHA, EPA. But since doing a little bit of research on my own, I have stopped taking fish oil supplements and instead started taking flaxseed oil. Because this plant-based essential fatty acid still contains omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9, but it's not animal-based. And not only that, but the thing about fish oil is that it becomes rancid at room temperature. And since your body temperature is higher than room temperature, usually right when you take the fish oil supplement, it putrefies. And the body isn't able to handle that or process that as well. So these plant-based oils are a much better idea than taking the fish oils. And then when it comes to just cooking oils, once again, I like to use plant-based oils for that. So back there I've got a bottle of avocado oil, I've got some olive oil, and some coconut oil. So I like to use those in different types of cooking, really only using the avocado oil or coconut oil or butter for cooking with heat. The olive oil doesn't handle the heat as well, so I try and only use that at room temperature after I've cooked or on a salad or something like that. So these oils are really important for your eye health as well, specifically for your tear film, your tear production. So if you have dry eyes, making sure you're taking these plant-based oil supplements and getting enough plant-based oils in your food is going to be helpful. So just pointing out a couple of these other foods I haven't mentioned yet. Got some red cabbage here. Got some avocados, which can be a really good source of some healthy fats. Your eyes and your brain need healthy fats to function and communicate. Got a nice big onion here. I like to cook with onions and peppers. And a general rule that I like to follow is to have foods of all different colors, all the colors of the rainbow. So let's see what we've got here. Got some red in the tomato. Got the red pepper here. Orange, we've got some orange peppers. We've got sweet potatoes. We've got carrots. Yellow, got some yellow peppers. Got some bananas. Got some lemon. Oh, red, I forgot. We've got some strawberries here. Green, we've got our greens here. Our kale, our chard. Blue, we've got our blueberries. Indigo, violet. I guess you could count the blackberries, the darker berries, the purple cabbage, red cabbage. Trying to get all these different colors is going to help balance your diet. And that's a key point here, is trying to balance. Not having too much of one, not enough of the other. Having your fruits, having your vegetables, having your proteins, having your oils. So just going through this foods to eat list real quickly, vegetables and fruits are at the top of the list. That's what I try and eat the most of in my diet. So it's got a whole list of examples beyond what you see on the table here. Nuts and seeds can also be a really good source of protein and some of these important trace minerals, metals, nutrients. So things like your almonds, cashews, walnuts, pecans, macadamia nuts, and seeds as well, like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds. So since I don't eat as much meat as I used to when I was younger, I've increased the amount of nuts and seeds and also beans to get protein. So different kinds of beans like black-eyed peas, chickpeas or garbanzo beans, edamame, green beans, kidney beans, lentils, legumes. These different beans, nuts, and seeds are a really good plant-based source of protein in this nutrition. I also really like to eat different kinds of nut butters, peanut butters, almond butters, cashew butters. And like I said, if it fits into your routine, you can also get protein from animal sources. Like I said, all these different kinds of fish or chicken or moderate amounts of steak. I like to eat eggs as well. An interesting thing, maybe you've seen it online, of looking at different kinds of foods that look like different parts of the body that are actually healthy for that part of the body. So if you know a food looks like your eye, then it can be helpful for your eye health. Like if you cut a carrot in half and look at it straight down, it kind of looks like an eye. So same thing with like an almond, it's kind of shaped in an eye shape, sort of. And eggs as well. You know, you've got the yolk in the middle and then the white around it. And I guess avocados are kind of eye-shaped as well. So it's kind of a fun way to look at your food a little bit differently to see what part of the body it's helpful for. And then at the bottom of the list here are grains and herbs and spices. So I've really cut back on my consumption of wheat, but I still eat other types of healthy grains like brown rice, oatmeal, flaxseed, quinoa, hemp, spelt. So these are less hybridized versions of grains that can act as a really good base for certain meals that you're cooking or a side dish. And then some herbs and spices that you can season your food with would be things like mint, basil, saffron, curry, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, and turmeric, like I showed you just a minute ago. These are all things that your eyes generally like when you eat them. So to finish up, I want to go through a couple examples of some supplements that you might want to look into and maybe try out for yourself. I like to take cold-pressed organic flaxseed oil. Got this at Trader Joe's. It's a good supplement on top of what I'm already eating through the oils I use when I'm cooking. Here, got some zinc. Zinc is one of the most important metals for your eyes. And this is actually chelated zinc, which I've read is a little bit more absorbable by the body than just regular zinc that you'll find at the store. So if you find this, you might want to try this instead of just the regular zinc. In addition to the zinc, also got some selenium here. Selenium, also one of the really important metals for the eye health. And I got both of these at my local co-op here. They make their own supplements. Next to that, we've got the vitamin D3, which I already talked about. We've got the multivitamin here, which I already mentioned as well. At the end here, I've got an example of an adaptogen. So this is from Gaia Herbs, based out in Brevard, North Carolina. This is their stress response blend, and it's full of adaptogens. And adaptogens are things that help your body come back into balance or homeostasis. So if something's overactive, it helps calm it down. If something's underactive, it helps stimulate it. So this blend includes rhodiola, holy basil leaf, ashwagandha root, and schizandra berry. I've also got a list of some more adaptogens here, including reishi mushroom, cordyceps mushroom, chaga mushroom, ginseng, ginkgo, licorice. These are all things that act as adaptogens in your body. And this is called stress response because it's really good for your adrenal glands. A lot of people have adrenal fatigue or their adrenal glands are just overworked, and taking adaptogens helps calm the adrenal glands down. And the adrenal glands are what produce cortisol and these different kinds of stress hormones. So that's why it's called stress relief, because when you calm down the adrenals, it can actually help you deal with stress. So I like that one a lot. I've been taking that for a while. And I also like to take medicinal mushrooms. So like I said, this includes the reishi, the chaga, the cordyceps, and like a dozen more different kinds of medicinal mushrooms in here. This is from Host Defense Mushrooms, and this is a tincture. So you actually take a dropper of it, put it under your tongue, or just in a drink or a tea. You can also find that in capsule form. But not only is that an adaptogen, but it's also really good for your immune system. Now there are also some herbal remedies you can use. One of the most famous herbal remedies is Eyebright. It's a flower, and you can get it in capsule form or in eye drop form. Cayenne pepper is really good for boosting circulation, getting blood flow up to the eyes. Saffron has been shown to really help with macular degeneration. So you can either use just the saffron as a seasoning in your cooking, or there are these supplements called Saffron 2020 that I'll add a link to that have had some pretty good results with dealing with macular degeneration. And then a couple other ones like chlorella and spirulina are like blue-green algae that you can also get in supplement form, or it's found in a lot of the green powders that you can make green smoothies out of. So these are all things that I personally have either cut out of my diet or added to my diet. Specific foods that I used to not really like very much, but I've since then fallen in love with them and started craving fruits and vegetables versus craving sugar and chocolate and candy. And these diet, nutrition, and supplementation protocols, in conjunction with my Bates method practice and other self-healing routines, I think was a big piece of the puzzle for me. Cutting out the sodas, stopping eating candy, eating more organic, whole food based meals, decreasing my gluten intake, not eating a bunch of breads and pastas and pizzas all the time, decreasing my red meat consumption, just having maybe a little bit of fish or chicken here and there. And these benefits that I noticed were not limited to just my eye health and my vision. It was really something more connected with the whole body and with the whole mind. So I would really encourage you to take a look at your own diet, your own eating habits and routines and patterns, and just see where they fall on the spectrum, and see if there are some little tiny adjustments and changes that you can make that can start to move you into a healthier lifestyle direction. And like I said, a good place to start would be to get your free copy of this guide so you know exactly what to eat, what not to eat, which vitamins, minerals, and nutrients you're looking for, some examples of some supplements that, the ingredients that you might want to look for. Or you might want to pick up a copy of a book like Healthy Vision by Dr. Neil Adams or Greater Vision by Dr. Mark Grossman. I'm also going to add a link underneath this video to Dr. Mark Grossman's website, naturaleyecare.com, because it is a wonderful source for diving deeper into this topic. You can search specific vision problems, figure out specifically what you need. It's a wealth of information on there, so definitely check that out. And he also makes his own blends of supplements and vitamins and nutrients, both for specific eye conditions and just for overall bodily health. He's also got some homeopathic things on there you can get. So he's put a lot of work into helping you out, helping you on this journey. He's an eye doctor in New York, and he also specializes in Chinese medicine, acupuncture for the eyes, and homeopathy as well. So if you're not familiar with Mark Grossman, go check that out. Hopefully this has helped you learn a little bit about your eye diet. And hopefully by making some of these changes, eating healthier, whole food, plant-based diet, adding in some specific supplements to fill in any gaps in your diet, you'll actually notice a long-term improvement. Maybe it won't help you see perfectly clearly right away, but I view this kind of stuff as long-term maintenance and as ways to prevent the development of vision problems in the future. Because you're making sure that all the different parts of your eyes and your visual system are getting the nourishment that they need from within. So if you're curious to learn more about this topic, or to learn more about the Bates method, or how to make this more a part of your life, to get more serious or regular or regimented with learning these practices, learning these lifestyle changes, check out my new Holistic Vision program, which is an online course that I created that walks you through the same process that I used to improve my own vision and get rid of my glasses. And for information about that, you can head over to integraleyesight.com/program. So I want to thank you for watching, and happy eating.